The big meeting room on the space station was very quiet. Ambassador Kim Dae-ho stood up from his chair slowly. His face looked tired, but his eyes were hard like steel. For many, many years, Earth had been the one everyone called when there was trouble. Pirates attacking ships, wars between planets, trade problems that made everyone angry. Today all of that would stop. Kim Dae-ho looked around the huge room. There were creatures from 1,000 different worlds sitting in their special chairs. Some had tentacles instead of arms. Some were made of crystal that glowed in the dark. Others looked like giant insects with too many eyes. All of them were staring at him now, waiting to hear what he would say. The human ambassador took a deep breath and spoke in a voice that everyone could hear clearly. I am here to tell you all something very important. The people of Earth have made a decision. We are leaving the Galaxy Council. We will not be members anymore. The room exploded with noise. Creatures were shouting in languages that sounded like music or static or grinding metal. The tall blue aliens from Velkari Prime waved their tentacles around like they were drowning. The rock people from the Korath system started glowing bright red, which meant they were very, very angry. Chancellor Vextar, who was the leader of the whole council, stood up fast. Her green scales were shining with sweat, even though the room was cold. You cannot just leave, she said. Her voice was shaking. What will happen to all the problems in the galaxy? Who will stop the pirates? Who will keep peace between the different worlds? Kim Dae-ho smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was cold and hard, like winter ice. That sounds like your problem now, he said. All of you spent so many years telling us what to do. You said fight here, protect this world, stop these bad guys. But when our people died protecting your ships and your families, you did not even say thank you. The room got quiet again. Everyone remembered what had happened just 2 months ago. Captain Park Soo-jin had been flying her warship near the outer edge of the galaxy, where the dangerous pirates lived. She got a call for help from a big transport ship full of Velkari families running away from their home planet. The pirates had surrounded the transport ship and were getting ready to attack. Captain Park knew her ship was smaller and not as strong as the pirate ships, but she also knew that if she did not help, hundreds of innocent people would die. So she flew her ship right into the middle of the fight. She used her ship like a shield to protect the transport while it escaped to safety. But her ship was destroyed, and she died along with all her crew. The Velkari transport made it home safe. All those families lived because Captain Park chose to save them instead of saving herself. When Captain Park's wife, Dr. Lee Mi-young, came to the council meeting to ask them to remember her husband, they were talking about what to have. For lunch, they did not listen to her. They did not care that her husband died saving their people. Kim Dae-ho remembered that day very well. He watched Dr. Lee Mi-young stand there with tears in her eyes while the council members ignored her. He watched them act like Captain Park's death meant nothing. They treated it like just another report to file away and forget. That night, Kim Dae-ho made his decision. He sent a message back to Earth. The message was short but very clear. We are done being the galaxy's free army. We are coming home now. In the council chamber, Kim Dae-ho continued speaking. You all think humans exist to solve your problems. When pirates attack your worlds, you call us. When there is a war, you send us to fight. When trade goes bad, you expect us to fix it. But what do we get in return? Nothing. Not even respect. The Chancellor tried to argue. We gave Earth a seat on the council. We made you part of our government. Kim Dae-ho laughed, but there was no joy in the sound. You gave us the right to die for you. That was our reward. The right to send our sons and daughters to fight your wars while you sat safe at home. While this was happening in the council chamber, something else was taking place all across the galaxy. Human warships were getting new orders. Every Earthship in council space was told the same thing. Pack up everything. Come home right now. On the big battleship Seoul, Admiral Choi Won-ho watched his crew work. They were loading all their weapons and supplies onto transport ships. Everything that belonged to Earth was going back to Earth. The space station they had built to protect this part of the galaxy was being emptied out Admiral Choi had been fighting in space for 30 years. He had protected alien worlds, saved alien lives, stopped alien wars. But he had also watched too many good humans die for people who did not appreciate their sacrifice. "Sir," said his communications officer, Lieutenant Kim Hana, "we are getting hundreds of calls for help. Pirates are already moving toward the trade routes. They know we are leaving." Admiral Choi looked out the window at the stars. He could see the lights of distant worlds he had protected for years. Soon those worlds would be on their own. "Our job anymore," he said quietly. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light. Human ships were leaving everywhere. Space stations were being abandoned. Military bases were being emptied out. In some places, humans had been stationed for 50 years or more. Now they were all going home. On the planet New Series, where humans had built a big military base to protect the local people from raiders. Colonel Song Jin-woo was supervising the evacuation. His soldiers were loading the last of their equipment onto ships. The local government officials were standing around looking scared. "Please, you cannot leave," one of them begged. "There are 3 different pirate groups in this system. If you go, they will attack us within days." Colonel Song felt bad for them, but orders were orders. "Earth has protected this system for 20 years, he said. "We lost 60 good soldiers keeping you safe. In all that time, did your government ever send even one message of thanks to the families of our dead? Did you ever build a monument to honor our sacrifice?" The alien official looked down at the ground. They had not done any of those things. They had just expected the humans to keep dying for them without any recognition. The human evacuation continued. For 3 days, every Earth ship, every human soldier, every piece of human technology was pulled back behind Earth's borders. The galaxy had gotten used to having humans around to solve their problems. Now they were about to learn what life was like without that protection. As the last human transport ship jumped into hyperspace heading back toward Earth, the aliens left behind began to understand what they had lost. The pirates who had been held back by human military power started moving. The trade routes that had been safe for decades became dangerous. The peace that everyone had taken for granted began to crack back on Earth. President Kang Ji-hai addressed the world. Her speech was broadcast to every human colony and every Earth ship. "The galaxy had a chance to treat us as equals," she said. "Instead, they treated us as servants who existed only to die for their safety. Well, we are nobody's servants. We are going home." The decision was made. The die was cast. Earth was alone again. But Earth was free. The galaxy would have to learn to solve its own problems, and maybe someday they would understand what they had thrown away when they forgot to value the humans who had died to keep them safe. But that lesson was going to cost them more than they could imagine. 3 weeks had passed since the humans left, and the galaxy was starting to fall apart. Captain Yoon Jae-min stood on the bridge of his cargo ship Busan Pride, looking at the warning messages flashing on his screen. Every single one was telling him the same thing. Pirates everywhere. Stay away, danger. His ship was carrying medicine to a mining colony on the edge of the galaxy. It was a trip he had made many times before, but always with human warships protecting the space routes. Now those warships were gone, and the pirates knew it. Captain Yoon looked at his navigator, Oh Hee-jin, who was studying the star maps with worry on her face. "What do you see?" he asked. "3 big pirate fleets between us and the mining colony," she said. Her voice was shaking. "The council patrol ships that were supposed to replace the humans ran away yesterday. When they saw the pirates coming," Captain Yoon shook his head. The council had bragged for years about how their ships were better than human ships. They said human tactics were too simple and brutal. But when real fighting started, the council ships disappeared faster than smoke. Meanwhile, on the big space station where the Galaxy Council met, emergency meetings were happening every day. The station was in the safest part of the galaxy, but even here you could feel the fear. Representative Koth from the Hegemony Union was walking back and forth, making wild gestures with all 4 of his arms. "This is a disaster," he was shouting. "The humans took everything with them. Their weapons, their knowledge, their battle plans. How are we supposed to keep order without them?" Chancellor Vextar was trying to look calm, but sweat was running down her green face. "We managed our own affairs for thousands of years before the humans joined us," she said, but her voice did not sound sure. "Before the humans joined us, we were always fighting wars. the crystal delegate from Korath replied. Its body was flashing angry red colors. They brought real peace to this galaxy. For the first time in history, we had no major wars for 300 years. The truth was becoming clear to everyone. The humans had not just been the Council's army. They had been the peacekeepers, the negotiators, the problem solvers when the Drakmor Empire and the Altari Republic had their big war over mining rights. It was human diplomats who made the peace treaty. When trade disputes between different worlds threatened to start new wars, it was human economists who found solutions that made everyone happy. Dr. Song Hana was working in her research lab on the Council station. She had stayed behind when all the human military forces left because she thought her work studying alien diseases was too important. She was trying to find cures that could help every species in the galaxy. But now she was starting to wonder if she had made a mistake. The reports coming in from across the galaxy were getting worse every day. System after system was falling into chaos. Wars were starting, trade was stopping, planets that had been peaceful for generations were now under attack by pirates or rebels or their own angry people. Her computer chimed with a message from Earth. It was encrypted, which meant it was very secret and important. The message was short. All Earth civilians in Council space return home immediately. Transport ships coming in 3 days. Song looked at all her research work that could help millions of sick people across the galaxy. Then she looked at the reports of worlds burning and people dying. The galaxy was tearing itself apart without humans to hold it together. On the outer edge of the galaxy, things were even worse. The mining colony that Captain Yoon was trying to reach had already been attacked, twice in the past week. The Velkari security force that was supposed to protect it had run away at the first sign of trouble. The colony's mayor sent desperate messages to anyone who would listen. Please help us. We have women and children here. The pirates are coming back and we have no defenses, but there was no help coming. The human base that had protected this area for 50 years was empty. The Council fleets were too scared to fight. The local governments were too busy with their own problems. Captain Yoon made his decision. He could not reach the colony safely, but he could try to rescue some of the people. His ship was not built for fighting, but it was fast, and it could carry a lot of passengers. We are going in, he told his crew. I know it's dangerous, but those people need help. His crew looked scared, but they nodded. They had all worked with humans before, and they had learned something about doing what was right. Even when it was hard back on the Council station, more bad news was arriving every hour. The Drakmor Empire and Altari Republic were fighting again. The peace treaty the humans had negotiated was falling apart. Both sides were building up their armies for a new war. The trade routes between the core worlds and the outer rim were completely blocked by pirates. Ships that tried to get through were being captured or destroyed. The economy that had grown strong under human protection was crashing. Worse still, some of the Council member species were starting to blame each other for losing the humans. The Velkari were saying the Korath had been too rude to human diplomats. The Korath were saying the Hegemony Union had taken human protection for granted. Everyone was pointing fingers instead of working together. Chancellor Vextar called another emergency meeting, but only half the delegates showed up. The others were too busy dealing with wars and rebellions in their own territories. We need to find a solution, she said, but her voice sounded desperate. What solution? Asked the Korath delegate. The humans were our solution. They kept the peace, protected the trade routes, stopped the wars, negotiated the treaties. We threw all of that away because we were too proud to treat them as equals. On his cargo ship, Captain Yoon was getting close to the mining colony, but his sensors were picking up something that made his blood run cold. A massive pirate fleet was heading toward the same place. They had enough ships to destroy the colony completely. Captain Yoon looked at his crew. We cannot fight them, he said, but maybe we can warn the colony and help evacuate some people. It was a desperate plan, but it was all they had. The galaxy had become a place where desperate plans were all anyone had left. The humans who had made the galaxy safe were gone, and now everyone was learning just how dangerous the universe could be. As Captain Yoon's ship raced toward the doomed colony, pirate fleets were moving across dozens of star systems. The carefully built piece of 3 centuries was crumbling in just 3 weeks. The galaxy was remembering what it was like before the humans came, and it was much, much worse than anyone had imagined. 6 months had passed since Earth left the Galaxy Council, and the whole galaxy looked like a different place. What used to be the biggest peaceful union in all of space was now just a bunch of angry worlds fighting each other. The beautiful dream of galactic peace had become a nightmare. On the farming world of New Harmony, Jung Kyung-soo was working in his fields when he saw something that made him stop. A long line of strange creatures was walking down the road toward his farm. They were carrying bags and boxes, and many of them looked hurt and tired. These were Velkari people running away from their home planet. Their world had been attacked by pirates and rebels working together. The beautiful underwater cities where the Velkari lived were now destroyed. The survivors had nowhere to go. Please, the leader of the group said to Jung in broken human language, "We need food and water. Our children are hungry. Our world is gone." Jung looked at these alien refugees. He remembered how the Velkari government had treated human soldiers who died protecting Velkari ships. They had not even said thank you when Captain Park died saving their people. But looking at these scared families, Jung could not feel anger. He only felt sorry. For them, use the Southfield, he told them. There is a clean stream there for water. You can stay until you find somewhere safe to go. His human neighbors were not all happy about this choice. Earth had been betrayed by these same alien species after. All but Jung believed that helping scared families was the right thing to do, even if their governments had been cruel, far away on a heavily protected space station. The Galaxy Council was trying to have meetings, but everything was falling apart. Half the member species had stopped coming either because they were fighting wars at home or because they blamed the Council for losing the humans. Chancellor Vex Tar looked terrible. She had not slept well in months, and her green scales were turning gray from stress. The meeting room that used to hold representatives from 1,000 worlds now had only a few dozen aliens sitting in it. "We need solutions," she said, but her voice sounded weak and hopeless. "The outer rim is completely lost. The middle sectors are in rebellion. Even some of our core worlds want to leave." The Council representative Koth from the Hegemony Union stood up angrily. "This is all the Council's fault," he shouted. "We treated the humans like servants, and now we are paying the price. We gave them representation." Vextar said weakly, "We gave them the right to die for us while we ignored their sacrifices," the Korath delegate replied. Its crystal body was flashing white with rage. "My homeworld is under attack because the humans are not there to protect us anymore." Deep in space, Admiral Cho Min-woo commanded the only human ship still in Council territory. It was a small spy ship with orders to watch what was happening but never to help. His crew had to sit there and watch, while entire civilizations were destroyed. Sir, his communications officer, Lieutenant Bae So-young, said with sadness in her voice, "We are getting distress calls from the Altari system. Their whole defense fleet has been wiped out. Millions of civilians are dead." Admiral Cho closed his eyes. The Altari had always been friends to humans. They had treated human soldiers with respect and gratitude, but his orders from Earth were very clear. "Watch only, do not help." "Continue watching," he said quietly. Even though it hurt his heart back on Earth, President Kang Ji-hai was speaking to the Global Assembly. The reports from across the galaxy showed destruction like nothing anyone had ever seen. Billions of people were suffering, and Earth had the power to help but had chosen not to. "Some people say we are heartless," she told the Earth leaders. "They say we are letting the galaxy burn because we are angry. But we gave hundreds of years of service. We lost countless lives. We spent enormous amounts of money and resources. We were taken for granted, disrespected, and finally betrayed." She stopped talking and looked at the faces of Earth's leaders. They all knew the numbers. Earth could stop the chaos in a few months if they decided to fight their space. Fleets were the strongest in the galaxy. Their soldiers were the best trained. Their technology was more advanced than anyone else's. The question now is, she continued, how long do we let this continue? In his spy ship, Admiral Cho was reading reports that made him sick. Pirates had completely taken over 12 star systems. Refugee ships full of families were being attacked and robbed. The Drakmor Empire and Altari Republic were preparing for a war that could kill billions of people. Meanwhile, A New Harmony farmer Young was learning more about his Velkari refugees. The family he was helping had lost everything. Their father had been a teacher, their mother had been a doctor. Their children had never known war or hunger until the pirates came. The youngest Velkari child, a little girl who reminded Young of his own daughter, kept asking when they could go home. Young did not have the heart to tell her that home did not exist anymore. Other human farmers were also helping alien refugees, even though Earth government policy said they should not get involved. People like Dr. Song Hana, who had ignored evacuation orders, were working in secret to help the wounded, and sick Dr. Song was now running a hidden medical station on a ruined world called Haven Rest. It used to be a peaceful colony, but now it was home to millions of refugees from dozens of different species. She worked 20 hours a day trying to save lives. "Doctor, we have more wounded coming in," her Velkari assistant said. He used to be arrogant and rude to humans, but now he was grateful for any help. "We need more medical supplies, Doctor." Song sent another request to Earth Medical Command, asking for medicine and equipment. The answer came back quickly. Request denied. Dr. Song must return to Earth immediately, but she could not leave. All around her were people who would die without her help. Children with burns from energy weapons, families poisoned by radiation from destroyed ships, old people who had lost everything, and everyone they loved. On the council station, Chancellor Vextar sat alone in her office. Most of the council members had given up and gone home. The Hegemony Union had officially left the council, calling it a complete failure. The core worlds were making their own defense agreements and ignoring the smaller species. Her computer made a sound indicating a new message. It was from the Korath homeworld. She almost did not answer because she knew it would be another request for help she could not give. Chancellor. The Korath Prime Minister appeared on her screen. His crystal body was very dim, which meant he was dying. "Our world has fallen. The Dark Star Syndicate broke through our last defenses. We are evacuating the survivors, but we have nowhere to go." Vextar felt her heart break. The Korath had been one of the founding members of the Council. Their wisdom had helped create galactic law for thousands of years. Now they were homeless refugees just like everyone else. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I am so very sorry." The galaxy was learning a terrible lesson about what happened when you took the people who protected you for granted. But the cost of that lesson was being paid in blood and tears across 1,000 dying worlds. 1 year had passed since Earth left the Galaxy Council, and the galaxy was darker than it had ever been in recorded history. Even the Great War of the Ancients, which had lasted for centuries before the Council was formed, looked small compared to the destruction happening now. The final blow came when the Dark Star Syndicate launched their biggest attack, yet against the core worlds themselves. Dr. Lim Seri was working in her emergency medical center on the refugee world of Haven Rest. The planet had once been a quiet farming colony, but now it housed millions of people who had lost their homes. She had stayed behind when Earth ordered all humans to come home because she could not abandon her patients. "Doctor, we have wounded people, coming from the Centauri attack." Her Velkari assistant said. His voice was full of fear. The arrogance he used to have was completely gone now, replaced by desperate gratitude for human help. Dr. Lim looked at the endless line of hurt people, burns from plasma weapons, radiation sickness from destroyed spaceships, children who had lost their parents in pirate raids. This was what the galaxy's pride had cost. Set up the emergency treatment area. In Section 7, she ordered, pushing away her tiredness, and send another message to Earth Medical asking for supplies. The answer came back fast as always. Request denied. Dr. Lim must return to Earth right now. She deleted the message and kept working. There were too many people who needed help for her to leave now on what was left of the great Nexus Prime space station. Chancellor Vextar sat alone in her office. The station had once been the pride of galactic civilization, where representatives from 1,000 worlds worked together for peace. Now, 3/4 of the offices were empty. Most council members had given up and gone home. The Hegemony Union had left, completely saying the council was a total failure. The core worlds were making their own protection deals and leaving the smaller species to fight alone. Her communication system made a sound. She almost ignored it, knowing it would be another cry for help she could not answer. But something made her respond. "Chancellor," the message began. It was from the Korath home world, and the crystal being on the screen looked almost dead. Our world is gone. The Dark Star Syndicate broke through our defenses. We are taking the survivors away, but we have nowhere to go. Vex-Tar felt her heart break again. The Korath had been among the first species to join the Council. Their wisdom had helped create the laws that governed the galaxy for thousands of years. Now they were just another group of homeless refugees. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I am so very sorry." Back on Earth, the great debate was happening everywhere. In government buildings, on news programs, in every public place, satellite cameras showed the galaxy burning, and humanity watched with growing worry. General Nam Tae-hyun stood before the Earth Defense Council. His uniform was perfect, but his face showed the strain of months watching disaster reports. The casualties are now over 10 billion across all the affected systems, he reported. The economic damage cannot even be calculated. Entire trade networks have collapsed. President Kang leaned forward. "And our military position, General. Militarily, we are stronger than we have ever been. Our fleets are undamaged, our defenses cannot be broken. But morally," he paused. "We are watching civilizations die. Species that trusted us for protection are being wiped out." The room became silent. Everyone knew the facts. Earth could end the chaos in just a few months if they chose to help. Their space fleets were the most advanced in the galaxy. Their soldiers had the most experience. Their technology was better than anyone else's. But the wounds were still fresh. The disrespect, the ingratitude, the casual way alien governments had dismissed human sacrifice. How many Earth families had lost loved ones protecting alien worlds? How many human colonies had been ignored while resources went to Council space? Young protesters gathered outside the government buildings holding signs that said, "Save the galaxy, and we are better than this." But other protesters held signs saying, "Remember, our fallen in Earth first," in his hidden spy ship. Admiral Cho was watching the final collapse of galactic civilization. The reports coming in were beyond terrible, entire star systems going dark. Billions of refugees with nowhere to go, wars starting everywhere as desperate species fought over the few remaining safe places. The worst part was that Earth could stop it all. The human military had been watching and planning. They knew exactly where to strike to break the pirate fleets. They knew which diplomatic moves would stop the wars. They had the power to bring peace back to the galaxy. But every time Admiral Cho thought about recommending action, he remembered Dr. Lee Mi-young standing in the council chamber begging them to honor her dead husband while they discussed their lunch plans. He remembered decades of human soldiers dying for alien worlds that never even learned their names. A New Harmony farmer, Young, was helping more and more refugees every day. His farm had become a small city of people from dozens of different species. They all had the same story. Their worlds were gone, their families were scattered. They had nowhere left to go. The little Velkari girl he had first helped now worked with him in the fields. She had learned to speak human language and often asked him about Earth. "What is your homeworld like?" she would ask. "Is it really as beautiful as people say?" Young would tell her about Earth's blue oceans and green forests, about cities that reached toward the sky and peaceful farms like his own. But he never told her that Earth could end all this suffering with a single decision. He never told her that his people had the power to bring her family back together and make the galaxy safe again. Dr. Lim was treating a wounded Altari soldier who had fought in the last battle for his homeworld. The Altari had always been good friends to humans, always grateful for protection, always respectful of human sacrifice. Now their entire civilization was extinct. Their beautiful crystal cities were radioactive ruins. "Why did your people leave us?" the soldier asked with his dying breath. "We always honored you. We always said thank you." Dr. Lim had no answer. The Altari had been good allies, but they had been caught up in the Council's general attitude toward humanity. They had paid the price for other species' mistakes. Meanwhile, in the deepest parts of space, something new was happening. The Dark Star Syndicate was not just a pirate group anymore. They had captured so many Council worlds and stolen so much military technology that they were becoming a real threat to the entire galaxy. They were building an empire based on fear and destruction, their leader a creature known only as the Dark. Admiral had once been a council military officer who had been passed over for promotion in favor of human commanders. Now he was getting his revenge by destroying everything the council had built. The galaxy stood on the edge of complete collapse. The choice was simple. Earth could step in and save billions of lives, or they could watch the greatest civilization in galactic history burn to ashes. The price of pride was becoming clear, but the question remained whether anyone was willing to pay it. 18 months had passed since Earth left the Galaxy Council, and now the galaxy was about to die. The final moment came when the Dark Star Syndicate launched their biggest attack ever against the core worlds themselves. The symbols of galactic civilization were falling one by one, and soon there would be nothing left but darkness and death. Captain Shin Bo-Ram commanded the rescue ship, Hope Dawn, which was one of 12 human vessels that had refused to obey Earth's isolation orders. They worked in secret, saving civilians from the worst disasters. Their crews were all volunteers who could not stand to watch the suffering. Another refugee convoy from Altair Prime, her first officer, Lee Dong-wook, reported with sadness, "The whole star system has gone. Dark, Captain." Shin felt anger burn in her chest. The Altari had been Earth's best friends in the Council. They had always supported human ideas, always been grateful for protection. Now their entire race was gone. Their beautiful crystal cities turned to radioactive dust by the Dark Admiral on Earth. The most important meeting in human history was taking place deep beneath the government buildings in Seoul. President Kang and her closest advisors sat around a table covered with holographic displays. Each red dot on the maps showed a world that had fallen to chaos. "The situation has reached the breaking point," Intelligence Director Park Young-ho reported. "The Syndicate has taken military technology from captured worlds. They are now a real threat to galactic stability beyond just the old council space." Foreign Minister Yoo Jin-ai spoke up. "We are getting thousands of messages every day, not from governments, but from ordinary people begging for help. Families trapped on dying worlds, children who have never known peace." President Kang studied the displays that showed the galaxy burning. "What does our military say?" General Nam stepped forward. "We could restore order in 6 months with full deployment. The pirates and warlords are using stolen council technology, but it is much weaker than our current systems. They have never faced real human military power. What would it cost us? Very few casualties on our side. The enemy forces are divided. Their equipment does not work well together. Most would surrender rather than fight our fleets directly." The room became quiet as everyone thought about the weight of this decision. Earth had the power to save billions of lives, to bring peace back to 1,000 worlds. But doing so would prove that the galaxy had been right to expect humanity to solve their problems. Im Soo-jin, the president's science advisor, spoke quietly. "I have been studying psychological reports from our monitoring stations. The surviving council species have completely changed. The arrogance is gone. The dismissive attitude toward human sacrifice has been replaced by real grief and regret." She turned on another display showing intercepted alien communications. "They call it the Great Darkness, the time since we left. Their children learn about the peace we brought as a lost golden age. They understand now what they had and what they threw away." President Kang walked to the window, looking out at the lights of Seoul somewhere beyond. Those stars' entire species were dying because Earth had chosen pride over compassion. "The question is not whether we can save them," she said finally. "The question is whether we want to be the kind of people who choose not to." General Nam nodded slowly. "Ma'am, if we go back, it has to be different this time. Not as servants or hired guards, but as equals who choose to help." Agreed. President Kang replied, "We go back. Not because they demand it, but because it is right. And this time the galaxy will understand the real value of what humanity offers." The orders went out within hours. Earth's fleets began preparing for the largest military operation in human history, not as the Council's enforcers but as liberators, bringing hope back to a dying galaxy. On the battleship Seoul, Admiral Choi Won-ho watched his crew prepare for battle. They had been waiting for this moment for 18 months, watching the galaxy burn while following orders to stay away. Now finally they were going to act. "Sir, his communications officer reported." We are receiving the final intelligence reports. The Dark Admiral has gathered his main fleet at the Nexus system. He plans to destroy the last Council worlds tomorrow. Admiral Choi smiled grimly. Then we will be there to stop him across. Human space, the greatest fleet ever assembled, was jumping into hyperspace. Hundreds of warships, thousands of support vessels, millions of the best-trained soldiers in the galaxy. All heading toward the chaos beyond Earth's borders as the first human. Ships arrived in Council space. They broadcast a message that was heard on every world. This is the Terran Federation. We are coming home on Haven Rest. Dr. Lim heard the message while treating wounded refugees. Her Velkari assistant looked at her with tears in his large eyes. Are they really coming back? He asked. Yes, she said, smiling for the first time in months. They are really coming back. The reaction across the galaxy was immediate. Planets that had prepared for final destruction suddenly had hope again. Refugee fleets that had been running for months turned around and headed for safe harbors. The few remaining Council forces that had been hiding in fear began to come out of their shelters. But the Dark Admiral was not finished. He had spent 18 months building his empire of destruction, and he was not going to give it up without a fight. His massive fleet moved to intercept the human forces at the edge of Council space. The battle that followed would be remembered as the greatest space combat in galactic history. The Dark Admiral had more ships, but the humans had better training, better technology, and something the pirates could never understand. They were fighting not for conquest or revenge, but to protect innocent people. Admiral Choi led the main human fleet into battle against odds of 3-1. But within hours it became clear that numbers meant nothing when one side had spent decades perfecting the art of war, while the other had only learned to pray. On the weak, human ships moved like dancers in space, coordinating attacks with precision the pirates could not match. Human weapons found their targets while pirate shots went wide. Human tactics turned the enemy's numbers against them, causing chaos in their formations. When the Dark Admiral finally fell, his flagship destroyed by Admiral Choi's own guns, the pirate empire collapsed instantly. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for months now surrendered or fled in panic. The war was over. The Great Darkness was ending, as human fleets spread across the galaxy, restoring order and bringing aid to refugee worlds. Something new was being born. This time, the relationship between humanity and the stars would be based on mutual respect, not one-sided obligation. The galaxy had learned the hard way what peace without humanity looked like. Now they would learn what partnership with humanity could achieve, and this time they would never forget the value of those who choose to protect others, not because they have to, but because it is right. The reckoning was complete. Hope had returned to the galaxy.